So today we're diving into a real giant in the AI space, Amazon SageMaker. You've probably heard of it. It's pitched as this ultimate all-in-one AI factory in the cloud. You know, the dream platform for taking a model from just an idea all the way to a global application. But here's the big question. Does it actually deliver on that promise? Or are there hidden costs and serious trade-offs we need to talk about? Well, let's get into it.
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head, right? AI feels so advanced, but getting a model from a data scientist's laptop into a real-world app that can actually handle millions of users, it is still incredibly hard. We're talking messy, complicated, a huge bottleneck that holds so many companies back.
Okay, so let's unpack that problem. The industry calls it MLOps, or machine learning operations. And really, it's the point where the shiny, beautiful theory of AI slams right into the harsh reality of real-world software.
Here's the heart of the issue. The machine learning journey isn't a simple, straight road. It's not like you just build a model and poof, you're done. No way. You've got to deploy it, you have to watch it like a hawk, you need to get feedback, and then you have to retrain it all over again. It's this never-ending cycle that, for a lot of teams, feels like a totally manual, disconnected, and just chaotic process.
And believe me, this cycle creates some massive headaches. Just put yourself in the shoes of a data science team for a second. How on earth are you supposed to keep track of thousands of different model experiments? And what do you do when a training job fails in the cloud at 3 in the morning? And even if you get past all that, how do you deploy it, scale it up for millions of users, and make sure its performance doesn't just secretly start decaying over time?
And this, right here, is the exact moment Amazon SageMaker walks onto the stage. It's a centralized platform that was literally built to solve these exact problems.
So, the first thing you've got to grasp is that SageMaker isn't just one tool, not even close. It's this massive, integrated suite of services from AWS that's meant to cover the whole shebang, from prepping your data all the way to monitoring a model that's live in production. The AI factory metaphor, it's actually the perfect way to think about it.
All right, let's get specific. How does SageMaker actually try to fix those headaches we were just talking about?
Okay, first up, the pure chaos of experimentation. You've got different data sets, different algorithms, tons of different parameters. Before you know it, you've got thousands of model versions. It is an absolute nightmare to track which one actually worked the best and, more importantly, why.
SageMaker's answer to this is a tool called, simply enough, Experiments, and it's designed to bring some sanity to the chaos. Think of it like a shared digital lab notebook for your whole team. It automatically logs everything, your data, your code, your parameters, for every single run. It organizes it all so you can easily compare models side by side and, this is the crucial part, actually reproduce your best results, even months down the line.
All right, next up are the terrible twins, debugging and deployment. You know, when a model is training on some remote server, you can't just peek at the screen to see what's going wrong. And then, once it's finally trained, actually getting it live is a completely different skill set, one that a lot of data scientists just don't have.
So SageMaker comes at this with two really powerful tools. First, you've got the debugger. It acts like an automated watchdog for your training jobs, sniffing out common but really tricky problems, like when your model starts overfitting. Then once your model is out in the wild, the model monitor takes over. It's constantly looking for something called data drift, which is just a fancy way of saying it'll alert you the second that real-world data starts to look different from the data you trained on.
And when it's time to actually deploy, SageMaker gets that one size definitely doesn't fit all. So it gives you 4 totally different ways to do it. You've got real-time for things that need an instant answer, like detecting credit card fraud. You've got serverless, which is perfect for spiky, unpredictable traffic, maybe for a chatbot. There's asynchronous for when you're dealing with huge inputs, think analyzing a long video. And finally, batch transform, for when you just need to run predictions on a whole dataset offline, no live server required.
So you see how all these different pieces start to fit together? This isn't just a random collection of tools. SageMaker is really designed from the ground up to be this deeply integrated end-to-end ecosystem.
And when we say end-to-end, we mean it. The platform covers the entire life cycle, from collecting and prepping data to training and tuning your models, all the way through to deploying and monitoring them in the real world. The whole idea is to have a specialized service for every single step, and they're all built to play nicely together.
And let me tell you, this ecosystem is huge. You've got SageMaker Studio, which is kind of your command center for everything. There's Data Wrangler, which lets you visually prep data and can save you weeks of coding. There's Autopilot, which can automatically build, train, and tune models for you. You have Ground Truth to help with the super painful process of data labeling. And then, the big one, Pipelines, which ties everything together to automate your entire workflow from start to finish.
And this is what that automation actually looks like. What you're seeing here is the SageMaker Pipelines UI. You can literally see your entire workflow laid out as a visual graph, from grabbing the data to processing it, training, evaluating, and finally registering that model. It takes this abstract idea of MLOps and makes it visual, tangible, and something you can actually manage.
Okay, so SageMaker sounds pretty amazing, right? But it's not the perfect solution for everyone. And like any really powerful platform, it comes with some pretty significant trade-offs that you absolutely need to think about.
On the one hand, the pros are really obvious. You get massive scale, that end-to-end support we've been talking about, and rock-solid security. But the cons are just as real. For one, the learning curve can be steep. And because everything is so tightly woven into the AWS world, you run a huge risk of what's called vendor lock-in. Basically, once you're in, it can be incredibly hard and expensive to ever leave for another cloud provider. You're giving up flexibility to gain convenience.
But all of this brings us to the elephant in the room. What about the cost? And, well, it's complicated, because depending on who you ask, you get two completely different stories.
Okay, so on one side you have Amazon's own data. They claim that using SageMaker can give you a 54% lower total cost of ownership compared to trying to build and manage your own ML platform somewhere else. Their whole argument is that by using a managed service, you save a ton of money on all the operational headaches.
But then, you see a case study like the one from Intuit, and they reported saving up to 80% on their inference costs by getting off SageMaker and moving to their own custom system on Kubernetes. So, what gives? How can both be true?
The secret, it turns out, is all about resource utilization. Think about it. For really high-volume, performance-critical stuff, a custom-built solution can be tweaked and fine-tuned to squeeze every last bit of power out of the hardware. Studies show that a standard SageMaker setup might only use 30 to 40% of a GPU's power, but a highly optimized custom system that can push utilization up to 70, 80%, or even higher. And better utilization is simple. It means you need less hardware, and that means you spend less money.
So what's the real takeaway here? Is SageMaker a brilliant cost saver or a potential money pit?
The answer really depends entirely on what your team values most. SageMaker is, at its core, an accelerator. You are consciously trading some control over cost and flexibility in exchange for pure, raw development speed. And for a lot of teams, that is a fantastic trade-off, one they'd make every time. But if you're a company operating at a massive scale with a deep bench of engineering talent, then building your own highly optimized system could end up being cheaper in the long run.
And that really leaves us with the big, open question for the entire industry. Is the future of ML going to be owned by these giant, all-in-one platforms like SageMaker, or will teams swing the other way, preferring to build their own best-of-breed stacks, where they can pick and choose the absolute perfect tool for every single job? For now, the answer seems to be, it's a battle that's still being fought.